welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're going to be looking at how one single, deeply personal decision can literally ripple outwards and change the entire world. We are exploring the mechanics, the global impact, and the sheer human scale of organ donation. It's a topic that weaves together medical marvels, global justice, and honestly, just our shared humanity.
So let me ask you, could you save 8 lives after you're gone? Man, it's a heavy question, isn't it? You know, we spend so much time obsessing over the impact we're making while we're alive, but we rarely pause to consider the profound, completely life-altering impact we can leave behind when we're no longer in this world.
And that number, 8, it is literally not an exaggeration. A single deceased donor has the medical potential to save up to 8 different lives. This happens when major organs are donated to folks who are battling chronic end-stage organ failure. We're talking about the kidneys, the liver, the heart, the lungs, the pancreas, and even the intestines. It's incredible to think that one single person's legacy can be the direct continuation of 8 other people's lives.
But you know, the power of one actually goes way further than that. Beyond those major solid organs, a single donor can improve over 50 lives through tissue donation. Just think about that leap for a second, from 8 all the way to 50. By donating corneas, skin, bone, heart valves, and tendons, you aren't just saving lives, you're dramatically transforming the day-to-day quality of dozens more, giving someone back their sight or their ability to walk. I mean, these are everyday modern miracles.
All right, Section 1, Making Medical History, from 1954 to today. Okay, let's dive into this. To really get how we reached this incredible modern ecosystem, we have to look back at the historical breakthroughs that laid the groundwork. The timeline of transplantation is just this absolute testament to human ingenuity. The whole thing really kicks off back in 1954 in the US, when Dr. Joseph Murray pulled off the very first successful human kidney transplant between identical twins. That was such a monumental game changer that it actually earned him the Nobel Prize later in 1990. Then, in 1967, Dr. Christiaan Barnard absolutely shocked the world with the first successful human-to-human heart transplant over in South Africa. Fast forward a bit to 1994, and India achieved its very first successful deceased donor heart transplant. In fact, that specific milestone was so massive for the country that India actually shifted its own National Organ Donation Day to August 3rd just to honor it, which is distinct from the global World Organ Donation Day on August 13th.
Moving on to Section 2, Fact versus Fiction, breaking down the barriers to donation.
So even with those wild medical leaps, we still face massive hurdles. It's not just about celebrating the science, right? It's about confronting those deep-seated misconceptions that hold people back from making a pledge. Let's look at one of the biggest myths out there. People so often think, well, I'm too old, or, hey, I have diabetes, nobody wants my organs. That is entirely 100% false. The myth is that existing health conditions or your age just automatically disqualify you. But the absolute fact is that there's no strict age limit. Healthcare professionals evaluate every single organ individually at the time of death. It's all about medical compatibility and the actual physical health of the organ in that moment, not your age or some blanket past illness. Section 3, the global transplantation gap, triumphs shadowed by a looming shortfall. And this brilliantly illustrates the real macro issue we're dealing with. When we look past the myths and actually check out the raw supply and demand, the reality of the medical world today is super clear. Just look at the strides being made in India, for example. Back in 2013, they performed just under 5,000 total organ transplants. Fast forward to 2025, they hit a record 20,138. I mean, that is a staggering increase. It actually ranks India third globally in total organ transplants, sitting just behind the US and China. And fascinatingly enough, India now leads the entire world when it comes to living donor transplants. But if we zero in specifically on deceased donation, which is the main focus of so many of these global campaigns, we see some really impressive growth in India again. They went from 837 in 2013 to over 3,500 in 2025. That's a fourfold jump. And a lot of this success really comes down to dedicated local governance. The state of Tamil Nadu is a fantastic model for this. In 2024 alone, they recorded 268 deceased donors. That one state contributed to nearly 24% of India's entire total. But even with all this commendable growth, the gap between what is donated and what is actually required remains just massive. 144,000. Now that's the number of solid organ transplants performed globally in 2021. On paper, that sounds like a colossal victory, doesn't it? But the stark reality is that the global demand just drastically outstrips the supply. Because of this looming gap, hundreds of thousands of patients are left trapped on waiting lists, and tragically,
Tens of thousands of them die every single year before they ever get the chance to receive an organ. Section 4. Bridging Global Development Goals, Organ Donation as a Justice Issue. Because of that glaring shortfall we just talked about, organ donation isn't just some clinical procedure anymore. It is a fundamental global justice issue. The World Health Organization recently adopted a 2024 resolution calling for much stricter ethical oversight and access. And this ties directly into the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Think about it. SDG 3, good health. This is an essential, life-saving intervention for non-communicable diseases. SDG 10, reduced inequalities. Robust public systems make sure organs are allocated purely by medical need, totally ignoring a person's financial or social status. SDG 16 covers peace and justice, where strong institutions build legal frameworks to stop organ trafficking and ensure financial neutrality. That means a donor's family is never, ever charged for the procedure. And finally, SDG 17, partnerships. Nobody can solve this alone. It requires governments, agencies like NATO, the WHO, and UNITAR all working together with the public to build real trust. Section 5. The ultimate personal decision. The power of a pledge. All right, let's zoom out of the global policy arena and right back into your living room. All of those grand global goals we just discussed, they rely entirely on public participation. And the good news is, participation is definitely rising. Since launching its national digital portal in 2023, India alone has actually crossed 500,000 Aadhaar-verified organ donation pledges. So the crucial point here is this. There is a massive misconception about what that pledge actually means in practice. A lot of folks think, okay, I want online, I sign the digital pledge, I have my donor card, I'm done. Well, actually, scratch that. That's a myth. The vital, absolute reality is that a signed pledge is simply a legal expression of your intent. Hospitals almost always seek final consent from your next of kin. Your family literally holds the key. Which brings us to my absolute final question for you today. Have you told your family your wishes? Seriously, it is the single most important step in this entire process. You have the power to potentially save 8 lives and improve 50 more. But your intent is only going to become action if your loved ones actually know what you want. Don't leave them guessing in a moment of grief. Have this vital, world-changing conversation with your family today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I challenge you to go make your wishes known.
Never get